This episode is powered by Anivia Pickleball. Based in the heart of Vancouver, BC, whether you're new to the game or a seasoned vet, they have the paddle for you. I myself am currently using their Voltex Gen 3 Pro, which comes in both mid and lightweight. A big thank you for the team at Anivia for taking a chance on me in this podcast. And for listeners of the podcast, if you enter AGorman15 at checkout, you get 15% off. Check out Anivia.com now. That's AGORMAN 15 at checkout. On with the show. All right, welcome back, everyone. Third podcast in November because we had some very awesome guests the past two episodes. And Vic is in Chicago right now, so that's why you're only seeing a nice little photo of him because the video and audio weren't quite working straight. So we're just gonna get his lovely voice. How's it going, Vic?
Good. How are everyone? I'm so dedicated. I'm in Chicago right now, and yeah, doing podcast with Andrew. So I'm doing quite remotely, guys.
And I double checked if he was sure if he was good with this, but he wanted to get this episode out. So kudos to you, Vic. So yeah, for those of you who weren't following us on socials, we were at the Rays Athletics this past I guess last weekend for the VIP opening, and then Vic was also there the second day for the public opening. Here, Vic, I'll start with you because you got to do the do interviews with both Naz and Mo. What was your first impressions of the facility?
Yeah, exactly. Andrew, I did the interview with Mo and also Naz. It was a great interview with those two. We talked quite. If people you have to follow our Instagram, we talk about just their vision of how they have their facility built up and how they want to kind of do we call a one-stop shop of everything that you've utilized. On top of that, 22 pickleball courts. They're gonna also put one tennis court, two padel court. Obviously, they will have also a full functioning gym. Other than that, they have also four full-size volleyball court with around eight basketball courts that can be converted. They added also on that we call Shoot 360, which is like a coaching and then or also like a live feedback on how you shoot the ball and everything. So it's going to be like a little bit of virtual reality, but with like some sort of coaching. It's going to be a pretty interesting thing. And also they added that with a soccer pitch right on the side. This is the phase one. That's the way that they call that. They haven't like really finished everything yet because their real grand opening should be around that March-April time frame, which they will also add a full restaurant with like about 100 seating, people seating. That they said. One coffee shop, juice bar, and a full locker room and a shower facility. So looks like they have a really big grand project that was in place. So kudos to them to get that started, and that's another great spot for Edmonton to play pickleball.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, like and my first thought on the thing was the spacing on the court was amazing. The every court was basically a pro level sized court, so you have plenty of space on the sides for ATPs, plenty of space on the baseline for the for serves and serves receive. The lighting right now is like okay, but we know that there's still fixing that up. They're going to be putting noise reduction, either panels or fabrics in there as well to deal with that. Like Emily said, like they said, this was phase one. So like, and the floor that they used, or the coating that they used for the base, Vic, do you remember the name of it?
No, I don't exactly know remember the name, but it is the same surface that the U.S. Open in Naples, Florida, that they're using, and they're really super greedy. Like when Andrew was serving with his topspin, I was like, I barely can get those balls. Like he's just spinning away from me all the time. And then what else? I also find out at the end of the day when I look at that ball, it was like really beat up. So it means like they're like we barely like I used the ball, the same ball that same ball that we just me and Andrew hitting at it maybe max an hour on it, and it's already super beat up. So it means that the surface obviously is new, but also super greedy. But Andrew that mentioned that it's pretty good on your feet, right? Am I right?
Yes, that's what I noticed. Like in comparison to some of the other facilities that we've been to, where it's it's concrete based, but then they put the layers on it. I found, and I got the name here. So Lake Hold is the surface that they're using. I found it was better absorption. Like me and Victor played singles for a fair amount against each other, and normally if I'm playing singles, sorry, in one of the other facilities, my knees will start to feel it, even though I got like brand new shoes on. So I think just the padding is a little bit better. And like when you looked at it, because I walked over to the side where they hadn't put the floor down yet, and you could see like a good, I don't know, almost say inch of coating in comparison to where the concrete is. So they've got a good multi-layer base there for your feet. So those of you who have issues with sore feet, plantar fasciitis, knee issues, this floor is a lot more forgiving on that. And then like Vic's saying, the grip on the floor, for any of those of you who are like me who love to put spin on the ball, you're going to be 10 times more dangerous on this floor just with what your spins will be able to do.
Definitely. And what do you think about the net? For me, I thought like the net was kind of so. It was like it looks well, it is better than the usual temporary net, but still it's not the best. I think Nas told me they're gonna switch all the nets back to a real better net, which is the Selkirk 001 net. That's what they said. But at the moment, the net is just okay for me.
Yeah, they're for someone who plays in a multiplex where pickleball isn't the primary thing, and we're using like the the $150 portable nets. It was still a really good net for me, but I have played on like permanent nets, and like I have played or at least hit the ball around one of those courts that use like the Selkirk Pro stuff. So I can definitely see the difference that, especially talking to Naz and stuff, that they're planning on. They want to host lots and lots of tournaments, and like and Naz, I loved Naz's enthusiasm. He was basically really like, I want it to be, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it well, and I'm gonna do it right the first time. Because he was talking about how they had to the one court, they actually ripped it up and redid it again because they didn't like how it went down the first time. So I love the enthusiasm he has for that, and that he's like, no, we're going to get the best of everything right off the hop. So that way there's no, like, aside from, the eventual, like, when you need to temper the floor in a couple years, that's literally the only thing you have to do. The fences that they've put up around separating the courts and stuff are probably the best stuff you can get for indoor pickleball. And like I said, because of the spacing, it's really, really good. And like, it's like every court feels like it's the championship court. And the thing is when we were there, they didn't have the showcase court made yet, but that's going to be off to the side, and it's going to have bleachers all the way around. There's going to be spots where you could stick cameras. So like CPA, CNPL, this would be a really good spot for you guys to host one of the events, because it's going to lend itself to the ability of the broadcasting ability in comparison to a lot of other places.
Yeah, agree. And on top of that championship court, most of the other court has like really proper spacing. Like we said, on the sideline you have 6+ inch, and on the back lines you have 10+inch. Sorry, not inch, feet. So basically there, so you have like just plenty of space everywhere. Just the camera, or just have your spectator just standing there watching. You won't be impeding in anyone on that. So which is perfect, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So and yeah, like I said, talking to Naz, I know I can tell you from a pickleball Alberta perspective that we've reached out inquiring about that being a potential spot for provincials. Obviously, we would like a club that wants to host to maybe reach out to them and host it through them, type of thing. And so like that's calling out, hey, St. Albert Club, get on that. You guys should host 2025 provincials at this place because one, it's all indoors, so you don't have to worry about any rain delays. There's going to be 24 courts there come provincial come the time when provincials happen, and
Actually 22. I calculated is actually 22 with the championship court.
I thought there was 22 there, and then they were building the championship and one more while we were there.
No, so what happens? I kind of misled you a little bit. So they have about 18 regular court, and then on the very corner there's only 3 courts that's built. Actually, there's 2 court that's built, and then there's 1 court that is starting to build. That's the one they rip off. Adding that championship court means they only have 22, not 20, not 24. It was my fault that I kind of misled you. So it's not your fault. I just want to tell you that.
Well, yeah. Either way, for provincials in Alberta, 22 courts is enough because we're averaging about 500 to 550 athletes there, and like I said, with the fact that you do not have to worry about weather, it allows you to have your schedules flow through. Because I know like this year for provincials there was a couple days where or at least one day where stuff got delayed even just by an hour, and it just throws the whole tournament out of whack, right? So the fact that you don't have to worry about that at all, you don't have to worry about wind and stuff like that, which I know it has been a huge thing at provincials the last couple years, because there's been, no matter whether it's in Medicine Hat or Red Deer, is that the wind has played a factor at least on one of the days.
Oh yeah, definitely. I hated the Red Deer wind in the morning, and I hated how Medicine Hat how much wind was blowing all around the place. It was terrible.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, so if you get a chance, if you're in the Edmonton area, definitely go check it out. It's in St. Albert. Um, and like I said, it's I can't wait for them to host the first tournament. I'm gonna try and make sure I get out to it. Because I just want to play on those courts for an actual like tournament mode, and hopefully like a CPA event can go there, or a CNPL event can go there, and like I said, it's going to have the restaurant in there, a cafe in there. And talking to Naz, where the cafe is, there's actually going to be a big glass wall. So if you're even sitting at the cafe, you can look in and see the pickleball court. So if you can just want to chill out, drink your coffee, and have like your pastry or something, you can still watch some really good pickleball, hopefully.
Definitely, it's gonna be definitely a great opportunity for people to test out the court, and also at the same time, right, host whatever tournament that they can, and hopefully they'll continue to that over time.
Absolutely. All right. So moving on. So seeing how we were talking about CPA, a quick update. The Pickleball World Ranking points are officially on the website now. So for those of you who haven't been keeping up, the Pickleball World Rankings is the CPA is part of that. So it's going to be rankings across the globe. So different events hosted. So like the big tournament that was in India a couple weeks ago, that was a Pickleball World Rankings event. I know some PPA stuff is eventually going to have some Pickleball World Rankings event on there as well. So you accumulate points, and it will actually give you your worldwide ranking. And our big question was when the CPA had their first event was, okay, well, is the CPA points going to be the same, or are there going to be like a minor difference? So now that they're up on the website, and you can head over there now. So for example, Maria Kokolitsky, who triple crowned at the first CPA event, so she has 3,000 CPA points. So she got basically you get 1,000 for first place. Now her pickleball world ranking points is 2,100. So that works out to basically 70 cents on the dollar. So almost like Canadian to US currency type of thing, right? But so yeah, so if you compete in a CPA event and you finish, I want to say it's top 10 is where you get your points. Where we did this wrap up, or we did this breakdown. If you want to go back and when we talk about the first CPA event, we did the breakdown of points of how much they were how much you got throughout. So basically whatever you get. So like I said, if you get 1,000, you're going to get 700 pickleball world ranking points. And so once this really gets going, especially I'd say over this next coming year, where you're going to see world championships, you're going to see India host events, you're going to see the US host events, hopefully some Asian countries host the events, maybe even an event in Australia type of thing. These events are all going to have pickleball world ranking points associated to them, and then they're planning on having like a huge tournament. I would assume in the middle of the year or at the year end, where you have like your ranking dictates where you go into the bracket and stuff like that. So really looking forward to that. And of course, they're all partnered. Like I said, CPA is partnered with that. I want to say the MLP, Minor League Pickleball, is partnered with that. If you head over to their website, they got all the corresponding ones. But yeah, all the major ones that are. So if you just go to the CPA Pro Tour, a lot of the companies that are associated with that, so like Eula, Selkirk, and all of them, they're all associated to the Pickleball World Rankings. So I'm really looking forward to see how this progresses. And so we can't announce anything right now. We do have some inside information on possibly one of the next CPA events, but it's not 100% confirmed. But I'd say start listening around January for possibly something coming in April. But that's the most we can say on this the next CPA event for now, anyways.
I see. And any CPA event in Montreal, or just never happened?
From what I heard, and once again, this is kind of hearsay, I think there was an issue. And as seeing how we were talking about the race athletics with the spacing of one of the facilities that I think they were trying to get in. They just weren't what you would call like prorated spacing. And this is starting to become an issue. I'm noticing in Edmonton, but also I'm hearing this from I've talked to some people from like Ontario and stuff like that, where it's great that we're getting all of these indoor pickleball facilities, but the problem is, and I understand the business side of wanting to stick as many courts into the space as possible, because obviously you need to make revenue. But when you do that, you're basically just opening yourself up for rec or like drop in or like ladder leagues and stuff like that. You're not going to be able to host a pro event, because the pro players need, like we said, like at least 6 feet worth of spacing on the sidelines for ATPs and hard cut shots. You want at least, I'd say at bare minimum, 6 to 10 feet on the baselines for powerful serves and to be able to back up and return those serves. So I think this is the issue that's happening in a lot of these places, where you can kind of get one, but you don't really get the other. It's kind of like how we compared the Calgary Pickleball Center to the Edmonton Pickleball Center. The Calgary had a little bit more spacing on the sides, but not a lot of spacing on the base, whereas the Edmonton one had more spacing on the base, but not a lot on the sides. Right. And like I said, from a business perspective, you understand why you're sticking the extra court in there, because you want, whenever there's not tournaments, because obviously tournaments aren't every day or every week, you want to have as many people in there as you can get, obviously paying memberships and stuff. But if you were to take out even one court and allow more spacing, then you'd be able to host like high level tournaments, especially once you start talking about 5.0 and up open events or pro level events, because those players want to play on pro size courts. Like you can get away with it for like 3.0, 3.5, maybe even some 4.0, but even 4.5 for me, especially, and Victor knows this from playing me, I can hit an ATP pretty easily because I can put a lot of spin on the ball and I don't need a lot of space. Like I have hit ATPs at some of these centers, but I run into the fence a lot.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
so it's one of those things where I'm like, anytime I get onto a court where I'm like, oh, there's so much space, I love this. It's just one of those things that you're going to have the higher level players wanting to go there more often. So that's kind
I
of
agree.
the issue I think that the CPA is running into, because obviously we live in Canada. We're not like in the States, like in Arizona or Texas, where you can kind of play outdoor pickleball almost all year round and it not be an issue. As soon as like, and we were lucky this year, like the weather held off for a little bit, but as soon as like you get mid-September, like unless you want to be wearing a full track suit while you're out there playing, it gets pretty chilly and pretty windy pretty quickly up, at least up here in northern Alberta. So yeah, Canada is in desperate need of more indoor facilities, but now those facilities almost have to start looking at, okay, do we stick nine? Like if we fit 12 courts, but we're not going to have a lot of space, and do we take one court out, go with 11 courts, but then we get that better spacing? Like it's almost like you have to play that game. Okay, are we playing for just revenue? Because if you're just going for revenue, you're not going to worry about hosting big tournaments. Go ahead and stick that 12 court in, because you're going to get the drop-in players. You're going to get the people who aren't too worried about that for competition. But then you're going to run into issues where people are going to be like, I don't want to play there because I can't play my regular game and I want to win, type of thing, right? So that's the issue I think that the CPA is running into. So like, because they're getting so much, like they said, like they didn't advertise a lot and they still got 400 plus athletes at the first event, right? So it's one of those it's one of those things where, okay, you need a big space, and you also need the pro size spacing at bare minimum for the pro level and like the 4.550 plus categories, right? So I think that's the issue that they're running into right now.
Yeah, I agree because I just look. I was in kind of I always stock some facility from Quebec. Yeah, I'm a stalker, sorry, but anyway. So the one of the facilities called Centre Pickle in Montreal, next to the Olympic Stadium. I think that was the area they want to open. They want to have the CPA in Montreal, but yeah, when they open, I take a look how the court are. They're way too close to each other. Like basically you like how close it is. Like for example, I will say that you have two courts in the Edmonton Pickleball Center. Instead of having a divider, the two courts are like almost squish with each other. They basically that was the amount of space you have. I think that's probably why there's you know what, that's way too close, and they're not built for professional anyway, so they kind of gave up.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so that's it for the CPA stuff. As far as CNPL stuff right now, I think we're going to be waiting till January when free agency and trades start happening. So nothing to report there yet. I keep kind of scrolling the Instagrams and stuff like that, but so far I haven't seen anything regarding CNPL. So moving on, we had a crap ton of Canadians playing abroad this month. We'll start really quickly with the Pickleball World Cup that was held in Peru. So this is the second year Peru has held a World Cup. Now, take the World Cup thing with kind of a grain of salt. So they have a regular style tournament where it's, bracket play and all that stuff. We had Casey Rogers down there competing. She competed in the whole thing, because so they did a regular bracket event, and then on the final days they did like the team style, like MLP, CNPL style stuff, which is where the kind of the World Cup side of it came in. So for the regular events, Casey finished fourth in singles, got gold in women's doubles, and then for the team play, I found out two of her partners, but I couldn't find the name because unfortunately those games weren't listed anywhere. They weren't on brackets. I didn't see them on DUPR. So I couldn't find the names of the teams. The only reason why I knew who the other two were is because I'd played against these gentlemen before. So Casey played with Connor Weeks and Kaylin Sampson from BC. I'm not sure who our second female was because it was the teams of four, two guys, two girls type of style. But like I said, unfortunately, I didn't. There wasn't anywhere where they listed it. We did have another two Canadians who wisely using their dual citizenship played for Team China. We had Emma Lee and Eugene Ma playing for Team China, and Team China was also kind of helmed by Yui from Track Ops Media, or one of the or if you know him better as one of the founders of the CNPL and the CPA, and also I can't remember her name, but the lady who is the owner of the Healy Medical Tape.
Oh no, I don't remember it either.
Yeah, the two of them kind of founded that Team China, and Eugene and Emma played on that, and they did really well. They actually made it. They got out of their pool and at least made it to, I want to say it was the round of 16. But I think they ended up
something like that. I think it's quarterfinals.
Like they did a very good they did a very good showing. Team Canada didn't get out of their pool, but then they also in their pool they had, I think it was the team that finished first or second. It was the Chinese Taipei team.
Is it Chinese Taipei or Costa Rica that finished first? I don't remember.
If they didn't win, they finished in the top three. They were a very very strong team.
That could be could be Chinese Taipei because the number one team was Costa Rica, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but because I think Chinese Taipei got second or third of them, but they were one of the top three teams, and I think they were one of the two teams that moved out of the pool that Canada was in. So Canada didn't get through the pool, but it's still pretty good. But like when you look at like the U.S. team and stuff like that, like obviously Ben Johns and Annalie Waters aren't playing with that. Obviously Catherine Parenteau isn't playing for Team Canada. So that's why I said, like, take the World Cup with a grain of salt. It's still an amazing tournament. And the fact that you got so many countries there being representative and playing is awesome. It's kind of like a mini Olympics type of thing, which is still very, very good for the progression of the sport. Shout out to Peru again for hosting that for a second year in a row. If it keeps going like that, I might have to have me and Irene book a vacation down there and go compete in that just for fun. Maybe Irene will play on the Philippines team.
Or ask Huey to hook us up.
Yeah, exactly right. And then moving over to the big one, the PPA championships in Texas. We had a crap ton of Canadians. Christina Chin was down there. Ryan Torrenson was down there. Maria Kotlitsky, ATN were down there. Who else?
And Sophie Cocteau was there.
Yeah, obviously the Walker sisters were there. Catherine Parenteau. I don't throw the Walker sisters and Catherine Parenteau as much because they're always down in the States. Like, this is more so the Canadians who most of their professional stuff is happening in Canada, and then they've gone down. The biggest outcome by far for all the Canadians was ATN and Maria Kokolitsky in the mixed doubles, coming in as like the 52 seed and knocking off Jack Sock and Kaylee Smith, who are the 14th seed.
Kelly Jo Smith.
PPA TV and watch that match. They played out of their minds. That was an amazing match to watch. I actually tuned in for that one because I saw it up on their socials. And they played insanely well.
That was a great result for them. No one was expecting them to beat them.
Oh no, exactly. Especially when it's the 52 seed versus the 14th seed. Like,
definitely.
At that point, you're like, okay, let's give them a good fight and put up like a good performance. But yeah, coming in and taking that's great. So shout out to Maria and ATN for that. There was a couple other tournaments. On APP in Newport Beach, Ryan Torrenson and Amanda Rosati made it to the quarterfinals. Maria Kokolitsky and ATN were also at that tournament. Maria got bronze in singles, and ATN got to the semis in his men's doubles. And then I think did they have a bronze medal match at that APP, Vic?
Yeah, usually they will have a bronze medal match.
Okay, so I think he lost that, so they basically got fourth. So which still
pretty good result.
A really good performance. And then There was one other tournament in Atlanta, the TKO, which Brad Chapman teaming up with Mark Clemenson at that.
Yeah,
They made it.
that was more like a prize money tournament. So so the winners win $20,000 prize money, which is pretty significant.
Yeah, exactly. And they got to, what was it, the quarterfinals?
Yeah, they got to the quarterfinals. I watched the whole match. The first game was tied 11. They lost 11-8, and then the second game they're up 8-3. I was like, yeah, they got it. They're gonna take it, but no, unfortunately, they didn't score a point after that. They just lost 11-8. So it's too bad. And they're not. And the other thing that I felt disappointing. Nothing against their opponent, but they're playing against another opponent that's like 40 plus, and then they lose that. So I was like, anyway, maybe they're not in sync or whatever.
Yeah, and but it's nice to see it's nice to see that our the Canadian pros coming down from Canada and putting on a decent showing, because we know that especially on the pro level, we are a fair bit behind the states. Just the states has had their pro program going for, what is it, since
Oh yeah,
20
for sure.
or something like that, if not longer. And
Mhm.
like we had our first, if we're talking realistically, we had our first pro league last year.
Yeah, basically almost 3 to 4 years behind them.
Yeah, right. So on the pro, and then all of our, and a lot of our pros are all spaced out. Like we have a fair amount in Calgary, but and then a bunch in Ontario and in Quebec. But as far as being able to, meet up and play each other or drill with each other all the time, it's a lot harder. Whereas in the States, because there's so much more people playing, even if you consider low level pros, they still get to play against those higher level players so much more often. That's how, like, you can see the difference.
Oh yeah, definitely. We unfortunately don't have that good of an access compared to them, right? We're a pretty big country. We're all spread out compared to them. They all, a lot of them are very local, right? You have a bunch in Texas, you have a bunch in California, and then you have a bunch that's live in Florida, and then they can just practice with each other all the time, right? It's not like us, like they have the amount of travel in order to practice to get them together is huge.
Yeah, exactly. And then we also had some of our junior level Canadians playing at the Nationals and also playing at the PPA in Dallas. Vic, I'll let you handle this one because you know these boys better than I do.
Yeah, so I was following those boys. So from our Sing Albert Club or Edmonton area, we have Jacob Okawi and Benjamin Lim, and his brother Noah Lim are playing at the USA Pickleball Nationals. So their results. So Jacob did one win gold in their mix, but it's technically bronze. It's not really a gold medal because they were the only one in their age bracket, and that's why they got gold. But if they did recall a combined bracket, they actually win bronze because they finished third. Anyway, it's still a goal is still a goal, and then they did win silver in boys double with Benjamin Lim in the 15 and 18 years old category. So which is a pretty good showing for Jacob. For Ben, he has one silver in boys double 15 and 18 years old, which is with Jacob, and he win bronze in single, defeating Jacob actually in that Brian Brown's medal match and at that 15 to 16 year old bracket. So pretty good result also for Ben. Unfortunately for Noah, he has 2-0 for the boys double and for boys single in the 12 to 14 age category. It was a little different in their also in their format. It used to be a double elimination, but now due to the amount of participant, they did a quick change before the start of the tournament. So basically, they kind of reverted like what the APPs now starting to do. They call that a modified double elimination. So basically, if you lose early, the or you just you lost in that semifinal. The best you can do is to win bronze. You cannot fight back to the A side. So if you go on to the B side, the best you can do is bronze. So it's a little bit of bummer. I wish they kept the original format, but anyway, it is what it is. Another thing that I found was a little disappointing with the USA national is there's not a lot of teams. So they basically have max 7 to 8 teams in every categories, and even like categories for some of them, like for example, for mix is like a category from the 12 to 18 years old together. So it's like a huge bracket altogether, and you only got 7 to 8 teams. Ouch! That was not a lot, but there's a reason. I'll continue to it. So another our juniors, Logan Farman-Nuke, he did go to play at the UPA Lapilasti Pickleball World Championship in Dallas. He actually finished 10 in the single in the 13 to 14 category. There is 28 players in that category, and then he ended up eighth in the boys doubles, 13 to 16 age category with 20 teams in his bracket. So and you can see there is so much more teams in that UPA is technically PPA, so in this event, and there's a reason. Benjamin was telling me that some of that his opponent that he played last year at the national did not play this year in this national because those juniors now being signed with PPA. And PPA is not allowing them to play at the national. So therefore, most of the top juniors now are playing on the PPA level and not playing on the USAP and nationals anymore. It's kind of a little bit of a bummer. Now they starting to kind of do that segregation in the junior ranks rather than just on the professional level. So. But anyway, it was kudos to Ben and to Jacob to bring some hardware back to Canada, and also congrats to Logan having a good showing at this World Championship event.
Yeah, absolutely. That was the same format that they switched the mix to at provincials. Remember how they did that last minute?
I remember that.
The only two, in my personal opinion, the only two types of brackets you should have, it's either single elimination, kind of like what you do at like PPA events, right? Or you do double elimination and you can work your way back. This whole thing where you can only get as far as bronze, like I said, then you're having the exact same record as the silver medalist. And in fact, you won your last game, whereas the silver medalists lost their last game. So I'm just like, I've always hated that. It's the same thing. It's
Yeah,
like when
I
you
know.
watch, it's like when you watch high school volleyball or high school basketball and they have that constellation final. The winner of the constellation final has the same record as the person who got second because they only lost one. They only lost the one game in the bracket.
Yeah, it's a huge bummer, and it frustrates people, to be honest with you.
It does, and I can speak from experience. Like you lose that game because I can say the exact same thing happened to me and Irene. We lost in basically the semifinals, or it was the quarterfinals or something like that. I can't remember what it was, and then the furthest we could get was bronze, and you're like pissed off about that because you're like, because we ended up losing to the team that ended up getting gold, and we were the only team that took a set from them.
Yeah, it's a huge bummer. So basically, so that's why like in the tournament is definitely you either advertise that in advance. Okay, the best you can do is bronze or single elimination right away. You shouldn't be changing the format like right the week before the event or like like the provincial during the event, because that pisses off people. Okay, I'm not going to play that, because they pay big bucks to come play those tournament, right? And it's like, for you have to travel all the way from Peace River. That's like freaking 5+ hour, and then the best I can do is bronze. So like, what?
Yeah, exactly. Right. So it's just, yeah, it's just one of those things where like, and like for me, for single elimination bracket, now I can understand if you have like 65 teams. Sure. And I know there's some PPA tournaments where they do one where if you've gotten knocked out, they have like the second event where now you're playing single elimination. So basically you could get a game that's 2 out of 3 and then you get knocked down. Now, and it's its own bracket. Like you can't win the championship, but you can win this like it's like a bonus bracket or whatever, and where it's 1 game to 15, and it's still the same thing, single elimination. You can work your way through and do something with that. And I think what it does is it gets you into the main bracket the next time or something like that is what PPA does. Because I've seen it at some
Yeah, they give you more points. They still calculate your PPA points. So basically, if you continue on to it, you'll still gain more points. So next time in the next event, because you have more points, then you might be seeded higher. Then you might be able to skip the qualifying.
yeah, skip the qualifying, or maybe not, run into, like, if you're on the women's, run into Catherine Parenteau and Natalie Waters on your first match, right? So it's like it's one, yeah. So it's like I like that, but so for me, it's either, if you're gonna do single elimination, you either have to do that or do it where you have the round robin and then you go to the bracket, and that's understandable because you got your seating from the round robin. It's single elimination once you get to the bracket for playoffs. That I understand. If you are using the words double elimination, it's double elimination. So same thing. If you go undefeated all the way to the finals, you're twice to beat. Right. So it's just,
Yep, I agree.
it's kind of like false. I look at it as false advertising, basically, when you say double elimination. But if you only lose 1 game, but you lose it at the wrong time, you can only get bronze. I'm like, well, it's not double elimination then, because I didn't lose
Exactly.
twice.
Agree.
So yeah. Anyways, but yeah, big shout out to all of our Canadians who competed in those events and represent the country really well. Super stoked for that. Moving on, we did have a tournament. I think it was last week. NAPP had one of their pro events, and it was on YouTube, so we could actually watch some of the games.
Yeah, finally.
Yeah, exactly. Like we and like I said, like we've said before, we want to support all the events going on in Canada. Like I know we come across sort of as CNPL and CPA homers because we've gotten to go to these events and stuff like that, but we want NAPP to do really well. And it was just that we, like, if I live 5.5 hours away from where they're hosting the majority of their games, right? So if it's not on YouTube, I can't watch and comment on it, right? Like Vic lives closer, but if he's busy and can't go there live and in person, like it's nice if we can, go to YouTube, even if it's after the games are over, and go back and watch some of the matches, like the championship match or something like that, and be able to comment on how we thought the pros played and things like that, right? So the fact that it was on, and like I said, I wasn't like, if I'm being honest, the quality wasn't super great. I'm talking about the video, the footage, not the actual play. But like I said, it's on there. You can at least watch and appreciate the visual of the players playing, right? Like they can work on getting, commentators in there or getting the audio a little bit better and stuff like that, getting different camera angles. But the fact that you have it on there, people can go on and watch. That's the main thing, right? So, shout out to them for getting that done. And like I said, I didn't get a chance to watch all of it, but Vic, you got who won some of those matches and how some of our Canadians did in that?
Yeah, I did. I did at least follow a little bit. Some of the courts are a little choppy, unfortunately. So, like Andrew said, the quality wasn't the best. But hey, this is their first time making it, so I'm not complaining. If they're able to put something on it, it's better than nothing on it, right? Yep. The so the first. So on each category, basically, if there's just some prize money. So if you would finish first, the team will win 2,500. So the second will win 1,500, and the third will win $1,000. There's nothing they talk about points and anything. So I guess they will figure out a little bit later. On the men's category, sorry, I might butcher his name. On the men's double on gold medal, it was Derek Shearer and Yamuen Van Castessen, which is Jorge's partner in the PPA Vegas event. So congrats to them. Silver was Jericho Groffman and George Nunes. Bronze medal was David Livinoff and Bryson has that won bronze. They have total of 11 teams. There's a couple of Canadian and Alberta players. Obviously, Jorge was there. He was playing with Brad Chapman. We have Hanno and Joel also playing on there. We have some of my good friends, John Hoffman and Dewey him that was playing also on there. A couple of our local guys. I'm Pierre Barr was playing. We have Tom Gasket was playing. Chris Allen was also playing. Some of our other Canadian Aman Jiwat Marji was playing, and Kellen Sampson also was playing on this side. Unfortunately, they did not win any medals, but it's good to see some Canadian competition in there. On the mixed double, gold medal was Sabrina Gilbo and Jamie Haas. Silver was Kim Layton and Annie Titchener that won. Bronze was Christine Masico and Claire Mayer. I think did I? I have a feeling no. So that was not mixed. That was a women's double. I'm sorry. I was looking at what was going on. Anyway,
Oh, that's okay.
so yeah, because it was a little weird why the name doesn't not match us. So that was the women's double that one I just announced. The mixed double, actually, the gold medalist was Anita Tichenor and Jericho Gorman. Silver medalist was Paula Rivas Palo and Rodrigo Reyes. And I have for bronze medalist Kim Layton with Hallow that won bronze. So congrats to them. Little couple of honorable mention from our Canadian. Ali also was playing. Shannon Novak was playing. Joe Bronson from our local Edmonton club that was also playing. From the Edmonton side, obviously Ali was playing with Jorge. Chris Ling was there. Shannon Novak, David Niska was playing, and Amajiwat Marji also playing. Julia Collin and Chetanya Sohani also playing for our Canadian side. So we do have a pretty good Canadian representation. It's good that we also see a couple of Canadian on the podium. So Kim Layton making silver in women's and bronze in the mixed medal. So congrats to them. And unfortunately, if you look at the stream, there is not a lot of spectator, but that's fine. It was just their kind of their tournament so far that was running. I will say if they continue to run all over Canada, probably they'll get a little bit more spectatorship, and especially if they're able to make it to some better video stream that will actually get more fans into it.
Absolutely, yeah. And then NAPP related. So NAPP is run by Churco Pickleball, which is a local Edmonton pickleball company, and they were on Dragon's Den on CBC, and they actually had and they got a successful pitch. What was it? $80K for 20% with 5% royalties, and that was two dragons accepted that, Vic.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't remember the name of the two dragons. For people that doesn't know Dragon's Den, basically, what it is like some small entrepreneurs was selling some pitch to four dragons that either it's going to be a celebrity or other people with more money with a lot of entrepreneur experience. So if what they're doing, you're selling their pitch and you want them to kind of collaborate with you or put money into into your company. But obviously you have to either pay royalty or either give some percentage of your company to them to be able to collaborate with you. So for this case, Chaco, so Jorge and I want to say what's her name?
Charity Christie.
Charity. Yeah, Charity that went to sell their pitch, and it was a very successful. As you say, as you see, they got two dragons gonna go help them out. I think that's one of the reasons why the NAPP tour was able to kind of get kick started, because this last year they talked a lot, but nothing really get pushed on. And then this year they finally be able to kickstart this tour. I think those two dragons do have some say onto it or effect into it.
Yes, and just having that extra finance come in will also allow you to reach out and say, "Hey, we're hosting this tournament. Oh yeah, you know our company from Dragons." And so it's almost like its own. Aside from getting a Dragons to buy into it, it's also like it's like a commercial for you that's shown on national TV, right? So, big shout out to Churco, and everyone involved in that. And yeah, I'm hoping that, like I said, with the success of that, and with seeing more and more people come out for those NAPP tournaments, that you see it grow. I would still like to see a little bit more advertising for it, not just on because right now, to be honest, it's on the Churco Pickleball's Instagram, Jorge's Instagram, and the NAPP Instagram, and that's it. I would like to see it on Facebook a little bit more, and even if you have to pay Facebook to kind of boost the post. As someone who's done that for Pickleball Alberta for events, it's actually not that expensive. If you have the money to do it, just to get eyes on it, right? So that's the biggest thing for that.
It's worth it.
Yeah,
it's money worth spent at some time.
And to be honest, I would totally do it for our podcast once we get a sponsor to give us some money to do it. Because right now it's coming out of me and Vic's pocket, but.
Yeah, it's me and Andrew, we spend too much money already on pickleball, so we're poor, unfortunately.
Exactly right. So yeah, but yeah, like we said, shout out to the NAPP and Churco for that success, and I'm hoping to see more of it in the future, because like I said, regardless of what league you play for or what league you sign with in Canada, the fact that we have multiple ones starting to grow and get better is a good thing. That's what we want. We want to see pickleball grow. Let's do the equipment update, and then we'll jump into the DUPR pickleball bracket stuff.
Yeah, sure. I'll send you some picture also those paddle, because I took some picture before I left. So a little couple of paddle updates. So I did get the rhombus ripple. So that very controversial. I won't say that. I will say a very a lot of people was getting talk about it. A lot of people is trying to get a hands on it. The rhombus ripple R1 and the R2. So I did have be able to hit a good month with those paddle. Obviously, those paddle is I would say is the strongest paddle that you can get on the market currently. You do not have something as strong as those one before. I think Andrew also experienced those paddle firsthand when I was driving into him. He's like, "Oh my god!"
It took me a sec to. It took if me and Vic were playing in a match, it would have cost me 2 points to adjust.
Yeah, those things was going like a bullet. What's happening is because they added so much more foam into the paddle. So basically, the foam is actually propulsing the ball so much faster. So basically, the Yola Gen 3 that was like we call the proposing chord, which is like the traveling effect. So that paddle, it was just getting a ridiculous amount of power. And apparently, so the one that I have just the beta, not even the production model. So some of the main paddle reviewer this week said they actually received the real production model from Rhombus, and their ripple even hit harder than the ones that the beta that I have. So it's gonna be and they said they're gonna be USAP approved, which is a little like a lot of people are skeptical. Like, okay, USAP was supposed to start with their coefficient of restitution test, which is we call the deflection testing, and it's supposed to be more rigorous. And you're even still listing those new more powerful paddle legal. People was like, what is going on? Anyway, so but like I said, the Ripple is the only paddle currently that can rivalize against the Yola mod, the mod TA15, because a lot of people say, oh, I have the mod. That guy's hitting so hard with the mod. How am I supposed to return his ball? I was like, well, what you need is a Ripple. You have to just need something stronger than him, and then that's how you beat him. And anyway, that's just a joke. You shouldn't be doing that. So it is not an easy paddle to control. So I will say if you're not 4.0 plus, this paddle is not really a good recommendation to you, because for a reset is not easy. It takes a lot of time to get into it. Your drops, you might pop your ball all the time because that paddle is so poppy. If you're not careful with this paddle, you're gonna body back people from baseline, basically. You're not so I would say be careful using those paddle. And if you encounter that people using this paddle, make sure you have a proper eyeglasses, because that ball is coming fast. So now you see me, you better wear eyeglasses, because I will be playing with this paddle. Anyway,
That's okay. I'll be there with my backhand block ready.
sure. And then we have also the Yola the mod TA15. I did also test out the Perseus, the Magnus, and the Scorpius 3S. Obviously, those three I just mentioned, there's Perseus, Magnus, and the Scorpius 3S are not USAP approved. They're only UPAA approved. Okay, so which means you cannot play in Canadian sanctioned tournament. You can only play on the PPA event and an MLP event. So basically, you can only play in the state with those three paddle. However, some other facility like the EPC or some other facility, because they have tournaments that they're not sanctioned, they're allowing you to play with those paddles. So just keep that in mind. A lot of people, obviously, I would say the Yola mod is the one that's more powerful than the 3S. That one has a tremendous amount of pop, a lot of spin, but it's nothing compared to the Ripple. Basically, I can tell you, if you already play with the Ripple, the mod feels like a control paddle to you, and that's how it feels. Even though it's super poppy. For me, I like the 14 millimeter better than 16 millimeter, because the 16 millimeter has like around 127 swing weight, which is a tremendous amount of weight. Compared to the 14 millimeter, you have barely 117 swing weight on the one that I tested. So which is pretty good for hands battles and everything. And I've only been able to play with the 14 millimeter so far. For the Perseus, Magnus, and the Scorpius, it's basically the same construction as the mod, but they have a little bit slightly differences. When you hit the ball, you can feel the core is much more dense. So there's more feedback on your paddle versus the mod. The mod, you hit the paddle, is like almost like trampoline. You don't feel anything about it. all the 3S, you can still kind of have a little feel on the ball, and this ball is still going fast, but not as fast as the mod. That's how I felt. But it's still pretty strong paddle. I'll put it in the pretty strong paddle categories. And obviously, I also have the 11.624 Hirachi X Alpha that is not even out in the market yet. So this paddle it's not the Gen 3 with foam. They did add a little bit foam into the paddle, but not like how the Gen 3 did. So we call that more like a Gen 1.5 paddle, because it's still thermoform, but it's using a more like a technology what the paddle tech is using. So they is strong, but not the Gen 3 strong. So in my hands, it's definitely better than the original 11.624, the Hirachi X, or the Kevlar version, but is not definitely not the Gen 3, so the Ripple or the mod level of power. It's definitely not there. But if you want something just a little bit more popular, but not going all the way to that Gen 3 level, that paddle might be a good option to you. I also I didn't test it out. I just received it, that paddle. My good friend Corey Knock is currently playing with it. The Vatic Pro Saga that just came out. For his initial feedback to me is that paddle is feels very good. It feels very close to the Spartacus Apollo and that Hirachi X Alpha, but it's definitely nowhere near the Gen 3 level power. So so for people that's having difficulty to control those super poppy paddles, might be a good considerate, but it wants a little bit more pop versus what they have currently, is a good alternative to try.
Nice.
Yeah, that's it
Okay.
for paddles so far.
All right, and I guess this isn't really equipment, but we'll include this here. So, DUPR is officially pretty much intertwined with Pickleball Brackets now. All of your previous matches that you have played on Pickleball Brackets, if you have activated, because now you'll notice if you sign in, it asks you to sign up for DUPR or claim your DUPR account if you haven't had one. All of those matches now move over to DUPR. So your DUPR rating now, once you've activated all this, is probably the more accurate rating out of anything that you actually have. Um, and I know from experience, because right now we're in the process of getting a tournament going for sometime in April for our club here in Peace River. When you go to set the rating specifics, if it's not a Canadian sanctioned match, your only option is to select DUPR ratings or self rate, which is basically the same thing if someone doesn't have a DUPR account. So by the looks of it, I would say probably by the end of next year, like I can see Pickleball Canada going, okay, we're going to use DUPR instead of having this CTPR rating, because the biggest complaint with that is there's not enough sanctioned tournaments, and you have players who are only ranked like a 3.5 in CTPR, and when they go to a tournament at the nationals, they're actually like a 4 or 5 at that point now, and now they're not allowed to play at that level, so now they're just blowing everybody off the court, and they don't want to do that. They actually want to play at their own level. So I can see DUPR eventually becoming the sole source of ratings in Canada pretty quickly here if this goes the way it looks like it's going. What do you think, Vic?
Yeah, definitely. And actually, I do a quick correction. Even though you didn't link your DUPR account, for some reason, they still found you. So and then they still link all your matches to your DUPR account. So why I know that is I purposely didn't link my DUPR account, and for some reason they found me, and they're able to put all my matches to my DUPR.
Yeah, right, exactly. And well, because it's basically you'll look at it. So, for example, like if you and me played either together or against each other at a tournament, and I had my DUPR activated, well, that match goes there, and they're like, okay, well, on DUPR it shows that Andrew played with Vic, and on brackets it shows he played with Vic. Okay, well, this must be the same Victor. You know what I mean? Like, and then they just link it up that way. So I'm guessing it's unless you don't play in a lot of tournaments, it's probably pretty easy for them to find you and link it all up for you. And honestly,
Yeah, exactly.
I don't see why you shouldn't anyways. They're owned by the same company at this point. So, and for me personally, I like it better because the DUPR is showing my rating actually how I should be. And because my CTPR for men's is 3.6, 3.7, whereas my DUPR rating is 4 points. I think I'm at like 4.7 now or something like that. But I'm slowly catching Victor and Irene.
Yeah, I think my CTPR, I just made it to 4 this year, and then my duper is 4.88, something like that. Anyway, so it means I cannot send back anymore.
Yeah, right. So like, but I like that. Like, it takes all those old matches and throws them in. So like, if there was someone out there who was fudging scores on Duper, just on Duper, but they've gone to tournaments and got their butts kicked. Well, guess what? All those go there now. So it will bring those people who are kind of fudging numbers a little bit back down to earth. So like I said, Dupers is the one that has their hands in everything. Like they're part of the pickleball world ranking. They're part of CMPL. They're part of CPA. They're part of PPA. They're part of like all this other stuff. It's already the company and the rating system that's involved with all of the major, at least on the pro side of things. So if they already have their hand in everything, let's just make it the universal rating system. Yes, it has its kinks and stuff that's some we don't like about some things, but you can continue to work on that. But like, because realistically, like, what, and we'll go back to this again. If you want pickleball to ever become an Olympic sport, aside from having a global organization that runs it, you have to have a rating system that covers everybody. Right? Like you can't have, oh, in North America we use Duper, in this country we use the equivalent of like a CTPR, in this country we use like this other one. It's got to be the same thing, because how are you going to, like, if you have an event where you have people coming from other countries, how are you going to be able to like set them up properly in a bracket, right? So Duper's already the one involved with all these major ones. So I would just say make that one the universal one and work on the kinks, because then you can just, okay, let's work on the kinks. Bring in the other, like, I don't know if they want to join or get absorbed or whatever by, because I think it's pickleball.com that owns both of them. But it's like you need to have the one rating system across the board to make it one that makes it more accurate, and because at least then everyone's graded on the same curve. You know what I mean? Like, and then like I said, you just look at me and Vic, like you look at our CTPR ratings, they're nowhere near what we're actually level we're playing at, because there's not enough sanctioned tournaments that we play in to bump our rating system up. Right? Like, and then also like the way that the old bracket system worked is if you lost and you got minus, regardless of how well you played. It didn't matter if you lost 12-10 or if you lost 11-0, you were dropping down in rating. Whereas Duper takes into account, okay, I played against, say if I'm a 4-7 and I played against a 5 and I lost, but I lost 12-10, well, I'm actually going to go up a little bit because I played that well against that higher ranked player. Right. So it's one of those things where at this point I'm like, okay, well, seems to be the one that all the pros are using.
Yeah,
Seems to be the
it has
most
better algorithm.
Yeah, right. Like right now, like I still like the Pickleball Brackets site for making tournaments. The same thing, you can link it. Like you can link the Pickleball Brackets tournament to the Duper stuff, right? So it's just one of those things where at this point I'm like, okay, let's just all switch it to Duper. Make it simple, so it's like, hey, everyone, this is your rating. You go to a tournament, this is what you get. Like you can start off, it's the same thing as anything else. You start off with a self rate, and then how you perform affects it. But at least with Duper, it also changes quicker. Like the bracket thing changed, what was it, every 2 months or something like that? Because I know, like, I would play a tournament in June, and say if I, like, me and Irene played in it, and we played at, say, 4.0, and we went in and we stomped everyone, and we won the whole tournament, and realistically, we should have bumped up to 4.5. Well, come July, our rating still hasn't gone up because it hasn't updated its system yet, because it only updated every 2 months, where Duper, it's more than likely either going to be updated that day or within the end of the weekend. right? So it's also quicker with the updates.
Yeah, it's definitely so much quicker with DUPR compared to the CTPR. Is frustrating.
Yeah. So yeah, like I don't expect it to happen like this in 2025. Like if they, because they would have to change, be talking about and changing it now to implement it for the 2025 like season, if you want to call it a season type of thing. For at least like Canadian, for like nationals and Western regionals and stuff like that. But I could see come 2026 that being the case. Like I wouldn't be like I'd be very surprised if Pickleball Canada is not talking about that like throughout the next year, and then making the decision come 2026. Okay, we're using DUPR for everything, just to make it simpler. Because then that way, it also for those snowbirds who go down to the States and play in tournaments and get better and come back up. Now those games and those scores will affect your rating. So if you were a 3.5 when you went down to say Florida for the winter, but you played so much pickleball that you turned yourself into a 4.0 player, well, you can play 4.0 when you come back. You don't have to play 3.5 and just destroy all the 3.5s just to try and get your rating up, right?
Definitely, yeah. That I would say you need to uniformize, like you said, with Olympics looming right now. You need to uniformize everyone everywhere, because otherwise you will never be able to get recognized as a sport.
Yeah, exactly, right. And then so I'm not going to hold Vic for too much longer because his wife is probably wondering where the heck he is because he's down in the in one of the conference areas in the hotel.
Yeah, I'm in the hotel lobby somewhere, maybe fighting someone outside. Anyway, I'll
Yeah,
talk to you to talk about that later.
yeah, but I just because this went so viral, Vic, did you see the kick heard around the world?
Oh yeah, definitely. That was. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say about that. Right? That the
Well,
guy.
I don't.
I'm not saying. I don't say I'm pro violence, but that guy kind of asked for it for some reason.
Well, but the other thing I look at it is like you see people like posting, "Oh, pickleball is supposed to be a thing where everyone comes together and all kumbaya and stuff." I'm like, "Okay, well," I said, "Yes, the kick was no, and the guy should be banned, right, from whatever from tournaments and stuff. Like I still don't condone the kick to the head, especially you knocking a guy out cold with like a blindside kick.
That I agree totally. You shouldn't be kicking him like that for
Right?
sure.
But you can't like it's almost like people are gone too far. I'm like, I'm sorry, there is a competitive, like it's a sport. Sports are meant to be competitive. Like I'm fine with people going and playing rec and having a good time. If you want to, drinking a beer or whatever, if that's how you play pickleball, that's fine. But this was at a tournament. There's a ref in the video. Tempers get high, people get competitive. I'm all for a little bit of trash talk and stuff. If that's how people play, I'm totally cool with that. Um, Obviously some people take it too far. Like there was an instance that also just started to go viral where I can't remember the two players, but it was like MLP and the guy yelled at him and then the guy kind of smacked the ball at his chest or whatever. It was the pros.
Yeah. That was the MLP. That was actually it was just today.
Yeah,
That was Will Howell smacking that ball to Christian Alshon, because
yeah,
Christian
like and
Alshon
Alshon was like yelling
was chirping. Yeah,
yeah,
was
like
chirping at
Alshon was
him
like yelling
basically.
in his face like at the end of the point. And I'm like, okay, that's a little overboard in my opinion, like the yelling in the face and also smacking the ball at him as well. But like you're gonna have people with those type of egos and those type of things in any sport. You're gonna have people who intentionally body bag in pickleball. You're gonna have people who are just plain assholes, for lack of a better term. But it's a competitive thing. If it's in a tournament, you can't be all like, "Oh, we got to be all kumbaya and stuff." I'm like, no. When I go to a tournament, I'm trying to kick your ass. Like I'm not gonna be nice about like I don't chirp. Like I do like a friendly chirp. Like Vic's played against me. He knows. Like I'm like if I make a shot on him and I'm like, my chirp is like, "Come on, Vic. I can hit that." Type of thing, like or something along those lines. And Vic will do the same thing to me. Like we do like the buddy chirps. Like we don't like I'm not
Yeah,
like
the gentle chirp. We call
yeah,
that
right. Like
gentle
it's more
chirp.
so like we're being competitive, but we're having fun and we're also kind of goofballing at each other in like the dead spots type of thing, right? Like those like that type of chirping. Like I'm not for calling anyone any swear words or anything like that, or like some of the other stuff that you see. But I understand the competitive side of stuff. I'm fine with a little bit of taunting. I'm fine with a little bit of other stuff, because it's a competition, and on the pro level, it's also entertainment, right? Like,
Yeah,
one of the
I
biggest,
agree.
and one of the biggest things that pickleball needs, and like you see it, like, why is Tyson McGuffin so popular? Aside from the fact that he's a really good pickleball player, he's entertaining. He chugs beers with the fans after. He's like very like, hyper, like he does the big screams and shouts when he scores a point, right? Like
Yeah,
that's that.
he hypes the crowd, right? That's
Yeah, like, yeah,
that's what you want to
he goes
see.
around, he's like hyping them up and stuff. So that's entertainment, and you need that on the professional side as well. You need people who my favorite definition of this is from UEC Lao. Once again, shout out to UE from CMPL and CPA, where he goes, they're media trained. Now, not everyone is what you'd call media trained, but some people just flourish in that a little bit better than others. Like if we were looking at, like, say for Canada, like Ernesto is very what you would call media trained. Christina Chin, type of things like that. People who have that charisma, like almost just instinctual charisma, and you get them in front of a camera, they're going to give you a good quote. They're going to like hype up the crowd. They're going to like, when you watch them play, you're entertained, right? So like,
Definitely.
so yeah, so like my clap back for the comment was like, oh, pickleball isn't about that. It's like, because you see the post, it's like, there's some posts it's like, oh, I can't believe this happened. Yeah, sure, I can't believe it happened either. But the posts where it's like, this shouldn't be happening in pickleball. It's all about getting together, creating a good community. I'm like, yes, pickleball is a very friendly community. It's a very inclusive and inviting community. However, when it comes down to competition at a tournament, tensions get high, emotions get high, people get riled up and stuff like that. Like I said, I'm all for trash talk, but the smacking the paddle out of the hand, that's a no-go for me. But then the kick was even more so of a no-go for me. Like, put it this way, if it was me and Vic went to tap paddles and accidentally smacked the paddle of a guy's hand, then the guy whipped, like freaking kicked Vic in the face, my paddle would be being chucked at the guy's head because I would just snap. Being like, what the hell's going on? Right? Like,
Yeah. Thanks, buddy.
I'm just like, what the hell? Like, do you like, what are you, 5? Like throwing a hissy fit because the guy knocked the paddle out of your hand? Like, really? Like, swear at him or whatever, call him an asshole. But like, throwing a kick for that reason at someone, like physically trying to harm somebody, that's just that person's an asshole. Like, that's not that's not where you say, oh, this is a bad look for pickleball. No, this is a bad look on that person.
Yeah, and the other thing is that guy was definitely not apologetic at all. Like he kicked him, and then he just like tried to walk off, basically.
Well, I kicked him and he's like posturing. He's posturing up, like thinking that, oh yeah, I'm tough. I'm like, no, you're not tough. You blindside a guy when he went to pick up your paddle after knocking it out of your hand.
Yeah, exactly.
Like when you see guys posture up when they blindside a guy with a punch to the head, it's like, oh yeah, I'm tough. I'm like, no, you're not. You blindsided a guy when he wasn't looking. That's not tough. That's cowardly. So
yeah, that's just so bad. Unfortunately, it's not good for the sport, and people like needs to calm down. Like, yes, you may be in the heat of the moment, but like come on. At the end of the day, it's just a match. Just walk it off.
All right. Anyways, I think that's it for this episode. Once again, thanks everyone for watching. We will have a wrap-up episode in December, where depending on what we have for news and stuff, it might just be a year recap of like what was our favorite moments and stuff, or we'll go into or we'll have some big news to talk about. I will put a poll up on this episode though. The poll will be on Spotify for you guys to comment and stuff of what favorite moment from our podcast or things that we talked about that you guys would like us to go over again in for our December podcast.
Want to also do a Q&A maybe?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I'll stick 2 questions up on the podcast. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can just put it in the comment section. So what I'll do is when I post the video, I'll comment myself in there and then let you guys go from there if you want to comment on YouTube. And then obviously if you're listening on Spotify, I'll have the polls and stuff there on Spotify for you guys to go on. If you're listening on Apple or anything else, I'm not 100% sure how that works, but I know you can comment on podcasts regardless, so I will be checking all of them. So, all right. So Vic, I'll let you get back to May and your Chicago trip. Thanks for jumping in, and thank you everyone for watching.
Thank you. Thanks everyone. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on our pod.
Absolutely.